Hello, Dan from Park Liske again. So I made a video yesterday. It's a bit warmer today. And I wanted to add a bit about what I told. So I had a conversation with a guy in Amsterdam. He thought because I'd lost track of the original point from where I wanted to tell a few things, and I went to one thing and then lost track because too many things get into my memory. I want to tell too many things. I want to tell all the details, and I think that is what's causing this, that short-term memory gets all filled up with all that, and the starting position is lost, and I need to think, what was it again? And to make it go quicker, I ask him, and that works well. So he thought it came from distractions, thought distractions. So he thought I had ADHD, which I don't have. None of the symptoms fit. But one of the things with ADHD is that you get a lot of thoughts that you can't properly control. Also, you can't sit still, all that kind of thing. So that's related. But I don't have that. The reason I was not distracted by my own thoughts, I just lost track of the original starting position, and that's what I wanted to get back to. So it's something very different, and that's what you need to know, is how to analyze properly. And of course he's not a psychologist, but psychologists can't do it either, because then you need to keep in mind various things. With the Dutch page on ADHD, for example, they mentioned that some of the symptoms can be caused by too little sleep. Yeah, you need to keep all these kind of things in mind before you can properly analyze people. In any case, I asked him, why do you think psychologists are incompetent? So he I will tell you a little bit, which is necessary to know. It's not necessary to know about him, but in general, it tells you that he knows something about psychologists, and that is necessary to understand why he can immediately, or should be able to immediately answer the question. Because there's one little thing that you need to know about psychologists, and then there's only one question that you need to ask, and then you know why they're incompetent. So there's some, maybe you can, you've heard of some story about psychologists or a psychologist, and then it'll tell you something about them, and then it should be able, it's a very simple detail about psychologists. Okay, so he has knowledge of psychologists. He has been to one. His brother and a friend of his went to them. They weren't helped. He thought it was because they didn't tell the psychologist the truth. My estimation is the psychologists are incompetent. They don't ask the right questions. Otherwise, we would dig further and say, yeah, I don't know what's going on. And then you ask certain questions. And if you don't get answers, then you say, well, if you don't want to talk about it, I can't help you. That didn't happen, obviously. So anyway, that was a long story to say he knows about psychologists. So he knows there are issues going on, even though he doesn't know it's an issue. But he knows something about them. So I asked him, what is the reason that psychologists are incompetent? And that is, by the way, based on my conversations with psychologists in person, on the phone, analyzing books, analyzing research papers, analyzing videos on YouTube, etc. And I've never seen a competent one. Never. And almost all of them are mentally unstable in some way. So I asked him, why is that? He gave me a wrong answer. And then I asked, no, that's not it. Try again. He gave another wrong answer, but the third time he tried was the correct answer. So you should also be able to deduce this very quickly. Ask yourself a few things. Think about it. Why could it? Brainstorming, something like that. By the way, he said about ADHD, yeah, people with ADHD can come up with very interesting ideas, thoughts that nobody else does. And I think that's because of this mental instability, that they have too many thoughts that they can't control, which gives similar results to brainstorming. But I don't need that. I can just come up with all these connections that I make, which I do. I've written everything down, and it will be very interesting, I think. I'll explain everything about, for example, the different thinking about men and women, how it all works. Why are men more mentally unstable than women? I can also explain that. In any case, so he thought, yeah, but that's not necessarily the reason why. And he said, yeah, go look it up, and you'll maybe a world of interesting things opens up for you. No, it didn't, and I don't have that. I have none of the symptoms of ADHD, or nor ADD, which is without the hyperactivity. Second time I asked someone recently, it was in Wroclaw. I got into a conversation. Two people, man and a woman, were talking about psychopaths in business, and that a lot of them were in the higher positions were psychopaths. Yeah, I know that. And you can also see them in medicine. Doctors, for example, went to a gathering of doctors one day some years ago. Saw someone in the back, and I thought immediately that guy's a psychopath. But anyway, back to those people. So I asked them. But this woman also felt that psychologists are incompetent because of dealings that she had with one of them, but also that two people she knew had with psychologists. And yeah, my experience is not with psychologists for me. I've only dealt with them, for example, in reality, it was in job related, when psychologists works at a job office and is completely incompetent woman. I mentioned that in the video where I talk about, for example, the podcast of Lotus Eaters, links, and going for a job interview at a school. That video is very interesting. I talk about that as well. So I asked these two people. They were talking about psychopaths. I talked a little bit about that. Then we got to talking about psychologists, and that they're incompetent. And I asked them both, why do you think psychologists are incompetent? The guy gave me an answer which was not quite correct. It was a bit in the wrong way. The woman gave me an answer which was also not correct. However, together, these answers were very close. So I thought, okay, I'll tell them. But for yourself, try to find out for yourself. Think about it. It's very interesting once you know which questions you ask in life in general, then everything suddenly becomes clearer, much more clear. You start to think a certain way that gives you the answers to many questions almost immediately. Okay, that's it for now. Bye.